major objective is that, whenever we are launching IPHEX, we are holding the first press meet in Hyderabad because we always love to kickstart from Hyderabad. Pharma Excel headquarters is also located in Hyderabad, and this year we are very much privileged to have one of the greatest scientists and CEOs of Laurus Labs. I need not tell the media about Dr. Chava Sachinand Garu. Basically, he's a scientist entrepreneur, and particularly during the pandemic time, the kind of a role the Laurus have played, and he accepted to be the chairman of International Exhibition on Pharma and Healthcare. And this year we are also organizing Global Regulators Conclave. This is first of its kind in the world. So it is sponsored by Ministry of Commerce, and particularly taking lessons from the COVID. So we thought that the global regulators should have a convergence and internal discussions how to address the issues. So we have mentioned everything in that the press note we have circulated.
During pandemic, India and Indian vaccine manufacturers, Indian pharmaceutical manufacturers demonstrated resilience, and the tagline of pharmacy of the world became a true testimony for Indian manufacturers. During the pandemic, all manufacturers were able to run the operations quite normally and also able to produce drugs for entire globe during the pandemic. And our country administering more than 200 crores of vaccines is also testimony that during the crisis, the country can cope up and deliver the necessary things what is needed, not just for the country, for the globe as well. This year also coincides with our 75th anniversary of India's independence, and also a lot of times our Prime Minister also mentioning Make in India and all these self-reliance. Pharma industry is a testimony of all those, how much progress was done in the last few decades. Not just IT, in pharma also we became self-reliant, and also the Pharma Excel is also another great example of supporting industries to demonstrate how much of exports are done from India across the globe. This year also, they're conducting global regulatory agencies are also participating. India can also play a significant role in harmonizing the regulations across the globe. If a country regulatory approval is accepted in how many countries is also an indication of the strength of the regulatory body. For example, if a product is approved by FDA, in some countries they give approval without any further review. Like that in European authorities, if one country reviews in the mutual recognition, many other countries will give approval automatically. Like that, if Indian regulatory body approves a product, that should be accepted in many emerging countries. We can show a path forward for the countries who doesn't have enough regulatory network within the country. India can show a great commitment and also demonstrate that India can offer a solution for the entire emerging world. Manufacturing wise, I believe, I'm sure other two colleagues on the dais will also accept, boom for manufacturing has just begun in India. You take it as a pharma industry or chemical industry or any other hardware industry and all. So the future for manufacturing is very bright in India. Coupled with government announced PLI schemes, I'm sure the Indian pharmaceutical industry will also attract a lot of investments from other countries as well. I'm sure you might have noticed some of the media friends. There are so many Chinese companies also investing in India, in R&D, in manufacturing. I'm sure those days will come. There will be dedicated industrial parks may be set up to encourage foreign investment into Indian healthcare industry. In India, the one challenge is still infrastructure is a big challenge. I think if infrastructure can improve, the Indian manufacturing boom will flourish even bigger than what everybody can anticipate. Earlier, many people were focusing on exports, less on the domestic market. Now, all markets are equally important. So what you can produce in India, you can also sell elsewhere very easily. So exports can be achieved much easier than earlier. In some African countries, some of the approvals are much easier than earlier because of the consortium the African countries are also making. And there is a lot of effort being also put by Pharmexil in that regard. This IPHEX, I hope, will strengthen the country's image, improve the country's image much further than it was right now. And I want to say thank you for Pharmexil for organizing such great events. I attended IPHEX in Hyderabad 2 years back. It was a big success, and I didn't anticipate number of people attending that. The kind of enthusiasm shown by people, and a lot of business meetings also happened during that time. I hope this IPHEX will also be equally successful. Thank you.
The basic objective of this Global Regulators Conclave is that we organized International Regulators Meet in 2019 in Hyderabad. It was attended by 30 regulators representing 25 countries. So the ministry and Pharmexil is also very seriously thinking about how we can have a convergence of regulators, particularly like-minded regulators. Yeah. And just now our Dr. Satyanarayan Garu has mentioned that a lot of consortiums are taking place in FTAs are taking place in different countries. So we wanted to make this IPHEX. IPHEX is a business meetings. Actually, we are getting 500 international buyers and 350 Indian companies are participating in this IPHEX. So in addition to that, it was, we wanted to have this regulatory, global regulatory conclave. If you are aware of that, US and EU have an understanding and recognize their own inspections. So if any like-minded countries who have a similar regulations and have confidence on Indian regulatory mechanism, so that will be helpful in reducing the cost and timelines, and it makes industry also very beneficial. So we have made CDSCO, the National Drug Authority, Central Drug Standard Control Organization, as a partner to this, and the DCGI is leading these deliberations. So we are expecting already there is confirmations of 73 regulators representing almost 50 countries, 48 countries. So we are expecting 4 countries further. I think this is the first of its kind in the world. No government has organized such an event for the regulators. If you see the response from the regulators also, for example, the Korean FDA chief is coming, NAFDAC chief is coming, and Russian chief is coming. So it has created a momentum. So this global regulators conclave, we are expecting that this will come out with some sort of the solution to the problems, particularly during the pandemic. So the governments have given so many relaxations in the product approvals, emergency use authorizations. If we have this kind of an agreement and this kind of an arrangement with like-minded countries, like EU and US, they're all stringent regulatory authorities, and when they had such kind of an agreement, why not India and other like-minded countries can have this kind of a convergence? This is the major objectives.
Company's product, it is approved by the Indian regulator. If they can sell in as many countries as possible, the cost of development will come down, the time required for approval in those countries come down, you can achieve scale of economies of scale, and you can offer an affordable solution to the emerging world. That is the biggest advantage of recognizing each other's regulatory approvals.
They sent a regret US FDA, and from EU, the Hungary, their regulatory chief is coming. As you are aware of that, EU and US FDA, they think that invented there. If they invent something, they will expect everyone to attend. We have almost 50 countries with us. So most of the countries we are dealing with them. So let us have some sort of an understanding with at least 10-15 countries. So I think that is going to be much more expected, and Dr. Satyanarayana has rightly mentioned, it is very much beneficial to everyone, not only India.
The one where the free trade agreement was signed by UAE, that is one, maybe the quickest one to accept the approvals made by India. I think Australian is almost nearing completion. So I think we have to make a good beginning. I think we have a beginning. So let's hope many other countries will also accept the Indian regulators' approval. There are two things we have to keep in mind. One is value, other one is volume. Maybe we are maybe 10% of the volume globally, whereas value could be 3%.
The entire NAFTA, we are 30%. US itself is 29%, and it is followed by EU. EU is 17% and Africa. So our footprints are everywhere actually. So US, why, the I think Sachinandar is the right person, can say why we are exporting more to US. Because of our filings, as well as the price, what we are value addition. These are the factors. Not that we are Russia is in the first 5 exporting destinations, but UK is in number 2, and South Africa is there. We have provided that booklet also. So our footprints are everywhere. Even Latin America last year we recorded 18% growth. So the major objective, to spread to the new markets, particularly Northeast Asia. China is a very big market, generic market, and Japan is also a very big market. Unfortunately, we are not able to penetrate those 2 markets. So we are working on different strategies. But as you mentioned that, from last 10 years, US is the biggest market because of their consumption, per capita consumption and value addition. Our people are focusing more on that.
Why US market is very attractive to most of the manufacturers. One is single largest market. There are 3 buyers who dominate almost 90% of the US market. So because of the size, because of the less complexity in getting market share, it is very attractive. So whereas if you look at the India market is highly fragmented, and India, the brand carries bigger value than the generic drug. So whereas if you see, if it is genericized, if the patent expiry is over in US, generic companies capture 99% of the market. Whereas India is a different. India, unfortunately, most emerging markets are brand conscious, whereas the well-established economies are generic driven, whereas the emerging economies are brand driven. The odd fact is 20% of the companies dominate 80% of the market. So the remaining 20% is left to thousands of companies. So that is, one way is good, but one way is not so good. So the small companies will never get to invest into R&D because of their small scale. And the second, they may not able to achieve economies of scale. So, but India encourages a lot of SMEs, MSMEs. Their contribution to the pharma industry is also very commendable. Yeah. So their existence is equally important for big guys to survive. So that way, India, especially both Telugu speaking states, have a very good ecosystem. We have universities, we have the industrial parks, well-established industries are there. So that is the reason when it comes to especially the bulk drugs, both states are doing very well, and they will continue to do very well.
Generally, if you see the export data of PharmExcel, we always based on the DGCIS data. So DGCIS data always on the shipping bills. So some of the companies, located in Andhra also, they can export from here. the companies who are located in Hyderabad may export from Mumbai. So, but most of the states, they are telling 25-30%. Sometimes I'll get confused. If you calculate that, it is coming around 250-300%. So there are no specific data for each state. Even the state government also, I'm not very sure that, you know, AP and Andhra put together, when it was United States, it was 30% people used to say like that. We don't know about today, but the DOC is giving a different data. So there are so many conflicts in the figures. So as far as Pharmexil is concerned, you know, the export shipping bills only the criteria. I can't say anything on how much it's going from Hyderabad.
This could be only for exports we are talking, but there are many companies who is working only domestic. So just exact number, it is hardly true.
The main objective of IPHEX 2022 is to showcase the advancement and achievement of Indian pharmaceutical industry to the globe. The other main objective is to bring various regulatory chiefs from other countries to come to India and understand the strengths of the Indian regulatory system and find opportunities to harmonize the regulations such that the drugs approved in India can be approved easily in the countries where they are needed, where the regulatory system is not as established as India. So this will be a great opportunity. And the pandemic also proven that country can cope up with the challenges, can produce enough drugs, not only just for India, for also the emerging world, and also established markets as well, like US and Europe. And our ability to produce vaccines is another great step to demonstrate developed Indian produced vaccines cater to all the vaccine requirements of the entire India. So these two are the major objectives of this IPHEX.
ఐఫెక్స్ ప్రధాన ఉద్దేశం ఏంటంటే ప్రపంచంలో ఉన్న రెగ్యులేటర్స్కి భారతదేశంలో ఉన్న రెగ్యులేటర్స్ మీద విశ్వాసం పెంచడానికి, అలాగే ఇండియన్ ఇండస్ట్రీ క్యాపబిలిటీస్ మీద కూడా విశ్వాసం పెంచడానికి. సో అలాగే కాకుండా ఈ రెగ్యులేటర్స్ ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో ఇక్కడ మన ఇండియాలో ఉన్న సిడిఎస్సిఓ కానీ అండ్ ప్రపంచ వివిధ ప్రాంతాల నుంచి వస్తున్న రెగ్యులేటర్స్ కానీ వాళ్ళు మాట్లాడుకున్నప్పుడు ఒకే ఆలోచనపరమైన విధానాలు ఏమన్నా ఉంటే కనుక వాటి వల్ల కూడా ఆ కంట్రీలో ఉన్న వాళ్ళకి కానీ ఈ కంట్రీలో ఉన్న వాళ్ళకి కానీ రిజిస్ట్రేషన్స్ కానీ కాస్టింగ్ కానీ ఇవన్నీ కూడా చాలా బెనిఫిషియల్గా లాభదాయకంగా ఉంటుంది అనేది. సో దీనిలో ఏంటంటే భారతదేశానికి సంబంధించిన దాదాపుగా 350 కంపెనీలు వాళ్ళ ప్రోడక్ట్స్ని డిస్ప్లే చేస్తున్నారు. మోర్ దెన్ 500 ఇంటర్నేషనల్ బయర్స్ ఇక్కడికి వస్తున్నారు. అలాగే 50 దేశాల నుంచి 70 మంది కన్నా ఎక్కువ మంది రెగ్యులేటర్స్ కూడా వస్తున్నారు. సో అది ప్రధాన ఉద్దేశం కూడా ఏంటంటే ఈ సందర్భంగా భారతదేశం ఒక గొప్ప శక్తిగా, అంటే ఫార్మా తయారీలో పర్టికులర్గా ఇంతకాలం ఏంటంటే మనం ఓన్లీ జనరిక్ డ్రగ్స్ తయారు చేస్తామన్న నానుడే ఉంది. ప్రధానంగా ఈ కోవిడ్ టైంలో మనం ఇన్నోవేషన్ అంటే వ్యాక్సిన్స్ కూడా మనం తయారు చేయగలం ఆన్ అవర్ ఓన్ అనడానికి వీ హ్యావ్ డెమాన్స్ట్రేటెడ్. సో దాంతో ఏంటంటే భారతదేశం యొక్క పేరు ప్రతిష్టలు ప్రపంచవ్యాప్తంగా కూడా ఒక జనరిక్ ప్లేయర్గానే కాకుండా ఇది ఒక ఇన్నోవేషన్ సైడ్ కూడా మనం స్ట్రాంగ్గానే ఉన్నామనే మెసేజ్ ఇచ్చాం. వీ వాంటెడ్ టు దాన్ని మనం ఈరోజు ప్రపంచవ్యాప్తంగా అందరికీ చెప్పడానికి, అందరికీ చూపించడం అనేది ప్రధాన ఉద్దేశం. మేము 10,000 మంది ఈ కాన్ఫరెన్స్కి అదర్స్ కూడా అటెండ్ అవుతారని మేము ఎక్స్పెక్ట్ చేస్తున్నాం. దానికి మన డాక్టర్ చావా సత్యనారాయణ గారు చైర్మన్గా ఉన్నారు. సో దాన్ని మనం ఇక్కడి నుంచి మనం గైడ్ చేస్తున్నాం దాన్ని.